Welcome. I want you to look at that title, 17 Seconds, that made me $23,847 in 21 days. It sounds like a secret, a magic trick, or maybe even an exaggeration. But the truth I'm here to share with you today is that the magic wasn't in the money, and it wasn't in the 21 days. The profound power, the absolute creative threshold, was contained entirely within those 17 seconds. We spend so much time analyzing our external reality, fixated on our current bank account, our difficult boss, or the relationship that ended last year, but those things are just the residual echo of a past self. They are the artifacts of an old consciousness. If you want to create a new destiny, you must stop waiting for the external world to change your internal state. You must be the change. The quantum you understand this fundamental truth. Your future is not out there waiting for you. It is a field of infinite potential, a vast sea of energy. You right now are sitting in a reality where every possible outcome for your life already exists as an electromagnetic frequency. The only question is, what frequency are you broadcasting, right? You can't create a new reality holding the same energetic signature of the past. If you carry the thoughts and feelings of limitation, lack, and struggle, you are, by quantum law, selecting the reality of lack and struggle. The challenge is not what you want, but who you must become to receive it. Let us dissect this reality, because this is where science meets spirit, where philosophy meets practical application. The quantum field, the invisible substrate of everything material, is pure potential. In that field, your wealth, your perfect health, your joyful relationship, they are not actual objects. They are merely possibilities, existing as waveforms, waiting for an intelligent observer to collapse them into matter. And who is the intelligent observer? You are. The classic Newtonian model of reality tells you that your current circumstances, your environment, your body, and the passage of time dictate how you feel. The old consciousness says, when I see the $23,847 in my account, then I will feel abundant. But the quantum model reverses that. It says that your consciousness, your consistent state of being, is the sculptor of reality. When you become aware of the field, you move from being a victim of your life to being the creator of your life. This requires you to stop identifying with the particle, which is the physical, known reality you can touch, and start embracing the wave, which is the energetic, unknown potential waiting to be manifested. Your ability to manifest depends entirely on the signal you send. And that signal is a coherent marriage of thought and feeling. If your thoughts are focused on the future, but your emotions are anchored in the past, say, feeling anxiety over a past debt or resentment over a past failure, you are sending a mixed, contradictory signal. You are saying yes with your mind, but no with your heart. The universe, which is always reflecting the strongest signal, defaults to the familiar energy of the past. It will keep delivering the same experiences because that familiar emotion is the very frequency you are broadcasting. This is the pivot point where we transition from intellectual understanding to practical application. We must cease waiting for the outer world to validate our inner state. We must consciously feel the abundance now. This is not about positive thinking. It's about altering your electromagnetic field. The magnetic field surrounding your heart, which is vastly more powerful than your brain's field, is the true engine of manifestation. When you elevate your emotions, you create a powerful, organized magnetic field, an energy signature of the future self. This is the field that draws new realities to you. This is the very essence of shifting your state of being. The key to sustaining this coherent broadcast is the subject of the 17-second coherence threshold. That specific duration is crucial because it's the minimum time required to sustain a coherent emotional thought long enough to start disconnecting from the conditioned stress loops of the past. If you can hold that elevated feeling for 17 seconds, you begin to break the addiction to the stress hormones that have kept you tethered to the old story of lack. But let's be honest, your body resists this change. Your emotional memories are stored in your physical body, and your body often acts like an unconscious mind, addicted to the familiar chemical cascade of stress. If you've spent years feeling unworthy, your body releases the necessary chemicals to make you feel unworthy. Even if your mind is trying to think positive thoughts, this is why we must fully understand emotional magnetism, that the feeling is the magnetic pull. We must train the body to accept the chemicals of the future self. This is an act of neurological and chemical reengineering. To make this leap from the particle of the past to the wave of the future, we must first address the baggage. This brings us to dissolving the old story. You cannot step into a new quantum reality carrying the emotional residue of the old one. We must identify those familiar stress responses, the guilt, the fear, the anger, that are using up the very energy you need to create. By simply becoming aware of them, you begin to dismantle them, reclaiming the stored energy and allowing the quantum self to emerge. And finally, this is not a one-time event, but a new way of being. We must commit to practice until it's automatic. The 21 days is a neurological boot camp. It's the time needed to wire and fire a new circuit so consistently that the new self becomes effortless. You are literally moving from conscious effort to a subconscious program. The desired outcome, the money, the opportunity, will then simply be the natural, inevitable result of your new energetic signature. You are no longer praying for it, you are being it, and once you've done the work, once you've sent the clear, coherent signal, you move to the final surrender. You let go of the need to control the outcome. You stop anxiously checking the mailbox or the bank account. This final surrender is the ultimate act of trust in the quantum field, and it's the moment you allow the universe to deliver the unexpected miracle. It proves you are living by cause, not waiting for effect. This is the profound creative power of the quantum you. Shifting your state of being, a personality, creates a personal reality. If you want a new reality, a reality where $23,847 or any other incredible desire is commonplace, you need a new personality. This new personality is defined by an elevated emotional state before the event. It's the feeling of success, the joy of abundance, the gratitude for the manifest future right now. You must move from living by cause and effect, waiting for something to happen to feel good, to living by cause, generating the feeling that causes the thing to happen. This is the crux of transcendence. Your current personality is nothing more than your conditioned, habitual state of being, a mixture of how you think, how you act, and how you feel, all wired together into a predictable program. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, demonstrating the same behaviors, and feeling the same familiar emotions, you are quite literally creating the same personal reality every single day. The person who is struggling with money, the person who is defined by their debt, the person who is chronically stressed, that is a personality built on a low frequency state of being. But if you want to manifest the unexpected, if you want the $23,847 to show up in a way you couldn't possibly plan, you must change your energy and become unrecognizable to your past. This shift moves you into the realm of the quantum you, where you cease to be a particle chained to your physical environment and you embrace the wave, pure, unmanifested potential. Your state of being is the mechanism by which you switch from observer to creator. It's the highest act of creation because it means generating wealth not from an external source, but from an internal, unlimited source. When you sit down to begin the creation process, you cannot bring your baggage with you. This is why we must first engage in dissolving the old story. The old story is the familiar emotion, the anxiety, the worry, the feeling of lack that your body has become addicted to. The body will resist the feeling of true abundance because it is unfamiliar. It will scream at you to go back to the known discomfort of struggle. Your duty is to interrupt that program. You must consciously command your body, which is your unconscious mind, to accept the new chemical reality of joy and worthiness. This is not easy. It's the work of a true scientist of self. Now, once you have dissolved the old emotional frequency, you are ready to send a clear signal. This signal is powered by emotional magnetism. It's not enough to intellectually think, I want $23,847. That is a weak thought signal. You must couple that clear intention with an elevated emotion, an undeniable, profound feeling of gratitude and excitement, as if the transfer has already hit your account. That elevated emotion is the magnetic field that draws the experience to you. This is where we transcend the limitations of the body and enter the present moment of the future. You are feeling the future so powerfully that it creates an emotional future memory. Your body believes the event has already happened. And how long do you need to hold this powerful, elevated, coherent signal? This leads us directly to the 17-second coherence threshold. This is the non-negotiable threshold of sustained thought and feeling required to create neurological and chemical changes. For 17 seconds, you must be 100% in the feeling of success, without distraction, without doubt, without returning to the familiar programs of the past. If you can hold the state for 17 seconds, you fire a new circuit, you override the old self. The secret to seeing that $23,847 arrive within the 21 days is not just doing it once, it's the commitment to practice until it's automatic. You must show up every day, not just to meditate or to think, but to embody this new state of being. You must consistently choose the consciousness of the creator over the victim. When the elevated emotion becomes your default, habitual state, when you are feeling abundant, even when facing the evidence of lack, you have become the person who is worthy of the manifestation. The external world must now reorganize to match your internal reality. Finally, after you have completed your meditation, after you have held that elevated feeling for the 17 seconds, your final act of creation is the final surrender. If you are truly in a state of being that matches your future, you will not feel the need to worry about how it will arrive. Worry is the ultimate demonstration of lack of trust. Worry is the frequency of the old self. True abundance means you trust the infinite intelligence of the quantum field to organize the opportunity, the coincidence, or the unexpected phone call that delivers the outcome. Your job is to be the frequency. The universe's job is to deliver the experience. The shift in your state of being is the only job you have. The 17-second coherence threshold, 17 seconds, that is the moment of transcendence. Neurochemically, when you hold a single clear thought and couple it with an elevated emotion like profound gratitude or limitless joy, your brain and heart begin to synchronize. This is called coherence. For 17 seconds, you must be utterly faithful to the feeling of your future. You must run the mental movie of your desired outcome, not as a wish, but as a memory of a past event. When you sustain this thought-feeling connection for 17 seconds, you are sending a clear, powerful, continuous signal into the field. This is when you are finally overriding the brain's conditioned circuits of the past self. Why 17 seconds? This is not arbitrary. It is the point of critical mass. Most people can sustain a clear, non-contradictory thought for maybe 5 to 10 seconds before their habitual, stressful, or anxious thoughts interrupt the process. The body, which is hardwired to keep you safe in the known world, throws old chemical signals back at the brain, attempting to pull you back to the familiar, low-frequency state of struggle, the one we talk about in shifting your state of being. But at 17 seconds, something profound happens. You begin to cross a threshold where the new thought and feeling combination begins to fire and wire together into a new neural network, overriding the old self. Think of your brain as a projector and your heart as the power source. Before you begin the 17 seconds, you have already done the difficult work of dissolving the old story, shedding the shame and fear that clutter the quantum field. Now, with a clean slate, you move into the creative phase. When you focus your intention, the blueprint of the $23,847, and you couple it with the powerful, elevated emotion, gratitude, joy, worthiness, your brain waves shift. They move from the chaotic, high beta waves of stress and analysis into a more organized, unified frequency, often moving into alpha or theta states. At the same time, your heart rhythm, which is usually erratic under stress, locks into a smooth, rhythmic wave pattern, a state called heart coherence. When the brain and heart are coherent, they are synchronized. They are working as one, creating the maximum electromagnetic output. The thought, which is the electric charge, and the elevated emotion, which is the magnetic charge, are now perfectly aligned. This is the moment of true emotional magnetism, generating a signal into the quantum you that is so powerful, so clear, and so continuous that the field can no longer ignore it. You are broadcasting a frequency that says, this future is my present reality. And the reason we emphasize the sustained nature of the 17 seconds is because of the brain's resilience. If you hold the thought for 10 seconds and then lapse into a thought of doubt, this won't work, or I don't deserve this, you reset the timer. You are sending a contradictory signal again. The field receives clutter. The 17 seconds is the minimum duration required to flood the system with the new elevated chemicals, the chemicals of joy and creation, long enough to suppress the body's reflexive addiction to the chemicals of the old stress patterns. You are forcing your body to accept the feeling of the future before the evidence arrives. You are proving that your consciousness is stronger than your bodily conditioning. This sustained act of internal discipline is the difference between a fleeting wish and a powerful creation. If you commit to holding that elevated state for the full 17 seconds, and then you commit to doing it again and again as part of your daily rhythm, the true work of practice until it's automatic, you are essentially conditioning your entire biological system to match the frequency of abundance. The consistency of this practice is what allows the new neural connections to become hardwired, moving the creative process from conscious effort to an unconscious automatic program. The time frame of the 21 days is directly related to this repetition and the installation of the new self, with each 17-second dose acting as a powerful dose of change. The final element of this threshold is understanding when to release the effort. Once you have held the intention and the feeling for 17 seconds, you have sent your clear, powerful order into the quantum field. You have performed the internal work. Any subsequent worry or calculation about how the $23,847 will arrive degrades your signal. This is why the 17 seconds must be followed immediately by the final surrender. You must trust the infinite intelligence that organized the universe to now organize the exact people, circumstances, and synchronicities required to deliver your manifestation. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is only to be the frequency for those 17 seconds. Emotional magnetism. The thought is the blueprint. The feeling is the magnet. A weak thought combined with a strong emotion is better than a strong thought with a weak emotion. But when you marry a clear intention, what you want with an elevated emotion, how you will feel when it happens, you become an unstoppable electromagnetic force. You cannot create abundance while feeling fear or jealousy. Your body is the mind's unconscious servant. Train your body to accept the feeling of abundance, joy, and worthiness, and it will align with the future you are mentally commanding. Let us go deeper into this crucial relationship between thought and feeling, between the electrical command of the brain and the magnetic pull of the heart. In the world of the quantum you, everything is energy. Your thoughts are electrochemical events. They are the electrical signal, the conscious intention, the command you send to the field about what you want to create. But intention alone is merely a suggestion. It lacks the power to move matter. The true power resides in the heart's emotional field, and that, my friends, is the magnetic signature. It is the feeling that draws the experience to you. Science now shows us that the heart's electromagnetic field is up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's electrical field. This means that if your emotional state contradicts your conscious thought, the magnetic pull of the heart, the feeling, will always win the battle for your reality. You can think about abundance all day, but if you feel unworthy, the universe is responding to the frequency of unworthiness. This highlights the challenge we face when we are attempting to make a true shift in your state of being. If you are accustomed to living by the hormones of stress, if your body is addicted to the chemical cocktail of inadequacy or worry or resentment, which are all low frequency emotions, then your magnetic field is disorganized and weak. It is a field of separation and scarcity, and that is what the quantum field will reflect back to you, often in the form of more financial struggle or lack of opportunity. The body, functioning as the unconscious mind, fights the change because it prefers the familiar misery to the unknown potential of joy. This is why the prerequisite is always dissolving the old story. You must first become aware of those limiting emotional patterns, the guilt and shame that are using up the creative energy you need. When you interrupt that cycle of habit, when you intentionally replace fear with gratitude, you are literally changing the magnetic charge of your entire being. You are taking the immense power of the heart and aligning it with the clear purpose of the mind. That alignment is what we call coherence. When you achieve heart-brain coherence, the heart begins to generate a smooth, powerful, coherent magnetic field. And this field is structured wide and capable of traveling much farther into the quantum field than a chaotic, stressed field. This organized energy field begins to broadcast the frequency of your desired outcome, the feeling of having that $23,847, the feeling of financial freedom, the profound joy of solved problems. This is the act of creating an emotional future memory, where your body believes the future event is happening in the present moment. If your body believes it, your biological system is releasing the chemicals of abundance now, and you become a match for the wealth you desire. This is not easy to maintain, which is why we must apply the 17-second coherence threshold with absolute discipline. This is your training window. You are asking your body to feel an emotion that is unfamiliar, an emotion that is independent of your current impoverished environment. To overcome the body's addiction to the old self, you need that sustained 17-second window to fully flood the system with the new high-frequency chemicals of creation. If you waver, if you allow the slightest thought of doubt or inadequacy to creep in, you lose coherence, you send a mixed signal, and the magnetic pull collapses. The secret to seeing the results within the 21 days is in understanding that this is not about hoping, it is about becoming. It is about committing to practice until it's automatic. You must show up every day, not just to meditate or to think, but to embody this new state of being. You must consistently choose the consciousness of the creator over the victim. When the elevated emotion becomes your default, habitual state, when you are feeling abundant, even when facing the evidence of lack, you have become the person who is worthy of the manifestation. The external world must now reorganize to match your internal reality. Finally, after you have completed your meditation, after you've held that elevated feeling for the 17 seconds, your final act of creation is the final surrender. If you are truly in a state of being that matches your future, you will not feel the need to worry about how it will arrive. Worry is the ultimate demonstration of lack of trust. Worry is the frequency of the old self. True abundance means you trust the infinite intelligence of the quantum field to organize the opportunity, the coincidence, or the unexpected phone call that delivers the outcome. Your job is to be the frequency. The universe's job is to deliver the experience. The shift in your state of being is the only job you have. Dissolving the old story. Before the 17 seconds, you must consciously dissolve the old story. Where in your life are you defined by an emotion like shame, guilt, or inadequacy? That is where your energy is trapped. The moment you become aware of that past pattern is the moment you become free from it. Every day, you must consciously choose the new self over the old. This is the hardest part. The body, addicted to those familiar stress chemicals, will resist It will try to pull you back to the known discomfort. You must interrupt that cycle and return to the elevated emotional state. This is where the real war is fought. The battle not against the external environment, but against the self you have become, the self you have unconsciously programmed. Dissolving the old story is not an optional extra. It is the absolute prerequisite for creation. You cannot successfully build the new without first dismantling the old structures that are consuming your creative energy. Think of the old story as the emotional residue, the historical baggage, and the low frequency noise that is constantly corrupting the signal you are, trying to send to the quantum you. This old story is held in the body as emotional memory, a chemical addiction. Every low-grade emotion, you feel the constant worry, the anxiety about your finances, the resentment toward a former employer, the guilt over a past mistake is a chemical reminder that keeps you physically anchored to your past. Your body is so conditioned to these stress hormones that it interprets their absence as a crisis. When you consciously try to move into the elevated state necessary for shifting your state of being, when you try to feel gratitude or joy, your body, the unconscious mind rebels. It sends signals back to the brain that say, this is unfamiliar, this is dangerous. Bring back the fear. At least we know how to survive in fear. This rebellion is the mental distraction, the intrusive thought, the sudden desire to get up, check your email, or analyze your current lack. It is the very mechanism that keeps you from crossing the 17-second coherence threshold. Therefore, the first conscious act of creation is to unmemorize those emotions. This begins with awareness. You must observe those recurring thoughts and feelings without judgment, without reacting to them, and without allowing them to pull you back into the old narrative. Where is your energy trapped? Is it trapped in anger from 10 years ago? Is it trapped in a feeling of unworthiness inherited from childhood? When you observe that feeling, that emotional memory of the past, you are separating your consciousness from that chemical program. You are saying, I am the awareness observing this feeling. I am not this feeling. That separation breaks the automatic chemical loop. If you don't dissolve the old story, you will never achieve true emotional magnetism. Your intention, the thought might be clear. You want the $23,847, but if the magnetic field, the feeling, is still dominated by the low frequency of fear, your signal becomes muddled. Fear and lack are massive energy drains. The emotional energy locked up in resentment, for example, is the same energy you need to generate the elevated state of worthiness and abundance required to pull your future to you. You are literally borrowing energy from your future creation to perpetuate your past suffering. When you dissolve the old story, you liberate that energy, clearing the static from your magnetic field and allowing the powerful heart coherence to take over. This process of dissolution requires daily, rigorous honesty. It is part of the deep work of practice until it's automatic. The 21 days are not just about repeating the new creation, they are equally about interrupting the old habit. When you find yourself in the middle of the day, reverting to the familiar stress response, the tight shoulders, the anxious gut, the mental loops of, I can't afford this, you must stop, you must identify that emotion and consciously choose to step out of the chemical cascade. You are breaking the trauma bond with your own past. Every time you successfully interrupt that pattern, you are unwiring the old neurological circuits and reclaiming the energy that was once tethered to your lack. This is the meaning of choosing the new self over the old self. The old self is the history defined by the emotions of past experiences. The new self is the potential defined by the emotions of the future experience. To dissolve the old story is to leave your identity, which is nothing more than the memory of who you were. This is why it feels like a small death. You are voluntarily giving up the chemical comfort of the known self. But in that void, in that moment of uncomfortable no-thingness, you create the space for the new abundant self to emerge and begin the process of creation. The freedom gained from dissolving the old story is what allows for the final and most powerful step, the final surrender. If you are still holding on to the story of lack, debt, or inadequacy, you will never trust the universe to deliver the unexpected. Your worry and calculation about the how will I earn $23,847, what if I fail, is the old story whispering its doubt. When the story is dissolved, there is no emotional anchor left to pull you back to the familiar. There is only faith, which is the complete trust in the quantum field's infinite intelligence to deliver your creation in the most elegant and unexpected way. The surrender is simply the confirmation that the inner work of dissolution and creation is complete. Practice until it's automatic. The true power comes from repetition. You do not just do this once, you do it daily. You move from conscious effort to subconscious habit. When the elevated state of being, the gratitude, the success, the abundance becomes your natural default state, you are no longer trying to create the future. You are living as the future. This is where the 21 days come into play. It is the time required to install a new neurological network so deeply that you literally become a different person. The money, the opportunity, the breakthrough, they are not rewards, they are the natural consequence of your new frequency. The true power of this process, the real secret to why I saw that $23,847 arrive in 21 days, comes down to one non-negotiable principle: practice until it's automatic. The world is full of people who try this for a day or two, who have a fleeting moment of an elevated state of being, but they quickly fall back to the familiar pattern of struggle. That failure isn't a failure of potential, it's a failure of repetition. We are creatures of habit, and the body, the unconscious mind, does not change because of one powerful thought. It changes because of sustained, consistent, unwavering discipline. The breakthrough does not happen in the single isolated 17-second coherence threshold. It happens in the cumulative effect of those seconds repeated over and over. You must move from conscious, effortful creation to subconscious, automatic living. Think of your mind and body as a computer system. The past self, the person defined by lack, worry, and debt, is a deeply ingrained, highly redundant program. When you sit down to create the new future, you are installing a new program. One installation attempt is easily corrupted by the old dominant program. But if you run that new installation every single day without fail, you begin to overwrite the old code. The 21 days is not some magical timeline. It is the approximate neurological time frame required to fire and wire new neural circuits so consistently that they become the default pathways. It's the neurological boot camp needed to create a lasting shifting your state of being. Every single time you choose the thought of abundance and couple it with the elevated emotion of gratitude, and you hold it for that critical 17 seconds, you are sending a clear, high-frequency signal into the quantum you. This is the work of a true creator. If you do this once, you are sending a momentary ripple. If you do this daily, you are generating a continuous, powerful wave. The universe, which responds to frequency, is now receiving a relentless, coherent broadcast that says, I am the financial reality of the future. This consistency amplifies your emotional magnetism, turning your fleeting wish into an unstoppable magnetic pull. The stronger the magnetic field you generate through daily consistency, the faster your desired reality is drawn to you. The necessity of practice until it's automatic is rooted in the challenge of dissolving the old story. Remember, the old story is a chemical addiction. Your body is biologically addicted to the stress hormones associated with worry and inadequacy. When you try to meditate or create, your body, in its attempt to return to its chemical normal, generates distracting thoughts, aches, and anxiety to pull you back. This is the moment of choice. This is where the practice truly matters. Daily, repetition is the only way to consistently interrupt that old addictive chemical cascade. Every morning, you must consciously choose the discomfort of the unknown potential over the comfortable familiarity of the past. By repeating this choice, by dissolving the old story every time it arises, you are starving the old self of the emotional chemistry it needs to survive. The power of this daily effort is that it creates a momentum of worthiness. When you commit to showing up and creating, even when your current environment screams evidence of lack at you, you are demonstrating mastery. You are proving to yourself that your internal world is stronger than your external environment. That proof, that deeply felt sense of internal power, is the very definition of the new personality. After 21 days of consistent practice, the new state of being is no longer a conscious effort. It is simply who you are. You don't have to try to be abundant. You are abundant. You don't have to try to feel worthy. You are worthy. The old chemical program is successfully overwritten. This concept of practice extends beyond the formal meditation period. It is about catching yourself throughout the day. When an old thought of fear or doubt tries to sneak in, that is a moment for a mini 17-second coherence threshold reset. You stop. You become aware of the old program, the dissolving the old story moment. You choose the elevated emotion of gratitude for the future, and you hold it. This constant vigilance transforms your day into a nonstop workshop in creation. By repeating this process dozens of times a day, you are accelerating the rate at which the new self becomes automatic. When you reach the stage where the practice is automatic, you are fully prepared for the final surrender. Surrender is impossible if the practice is inconsistent. If you practice sporadically, you will always be worried about how the manifestation will arrive because you will doubt the efficacy of your own signal. But once you have committed for the 21 days, once you have run the new program until it is subconscious, trust becomes inevitable. You have sent such a powerful, consistent, and coherent signal powered by relentless daily practice that worrying about the $23,847 is illogical. You know the job is done. The final surrender is simply the acknowledgement that your unwavering practice has generated a force of emotional magnetism so powerful that the universe must now respond. The daily practice builds the trust, and the trust frees the universe to deliver this consistent effort. This commitment to practice until it's automatic is the ultimate factor that converts the potential of the quantum you into the physical reality of the $23,847. It is the bridge between intention and inevitability. The intensity of this daily commitment also dictates the quality of the result. When you consistently show up and focus, you move beyond the superficial level of thought and feeling, allowing the intelligence of the quantum field to work through you. The repetition is a declaration of commitment to your own evolution. It says to the universe, I am not looking back. I am fully committed to being the creator of my life. This daily renewal of commitment is what gives you the power to break the cycle of karma, the cycle of repeating the past. Every day you practice, you are stepping out of the particle of the past and into the wave of the future, until the wave collapses into the new reality you have so diligently, repeatedly, and automatically chosen. The transformation achieved through consistent practice is the most profound aspect of this work. You are no longer performing a technique. You are embodying a new consciousness. The very act of repeating the elevated state day after day recalibrates your hormonal and nervous systems. Your baseline for happiness and abundance rises. The new chemical signals of joy and gratitude become your default setting. This is the state where miracles are normal, where the $23,847 is simply a consequence of who you have become. You practice not to get something, but to become someone. And once you have become that person, the reality must follow. You must not view this as a burdensome task, but as a deliberate, joyful appointment with your future self. It is the most important appointment you will ever keep. The consistency is the respect you show to your own immense power. This repetition reinforces the clear, unmixed signal of emotional magnetism that ensures the field receives your order without static. Without this dedication to practice until it's automatic, the fleeting moments of coherence will fade, the old programs will reignite, and you will find yourself once again struggling against the environment, waiting for an external cause to bring you happiness. The 21 days are your window of opportunity to cement the change, to make the new self permanent, ensuring that when you execute the final surrender, it is a surrender of certainty, not of hope. The final surrender, once you have held the thought and feeling for 17 seconds, once you have sent the clear signal, your work is done. You must get up, go about your life, and completely forget how it's going to happen. If you keep checking your phone, if you keep calculating and worrying, you are signaling doubt, and doubt is a different frequency. You have placed your order with the quantum field. Trust the intelligence that gives life to your body to organize your reality. Surrender the how and the when, and let the unexpected miracle show up. This final crucial step, the final surrender, is arguably the most difficult for the analytical, conditioned mind, yet it is the ultimate expression of faith in the process we have undertaken. Surrender is not an act of resignation or defeat, it is an act of profound, active trust. It is the moment you transition from being the architect of the design to being the observer of the delivery. We have spent days diligently working on our internal environment, using the 17-second coherence threshold to fire a new neurological circuit and employing emotional magnetism to broadcast an unmistakable frequency of abundance to the quantum you. Now, having sent the clearest possible signal, we must demonstrate absolute trust in the infinite intelligence that governs the quantum field. Any interference from us, any obsessive checking, any anxious calculation of how the $23,847 will arrive is an immediate degradation of the signal and a profound withdrawal of trust. When you finish your practice, when you conclude your meditation in the state of gratitude and worthiness achieved by shifting your state of being, you must intentionally release the outcome. Worry, calculation, and overanalysis are all high beta brainwave patterns, the same stressful, survival-oriented patterns that tethered you to the old reality of lack. If you worry about the how, you are immediately falling back into the old chemical patterns of the past, negating the precise coherence you just spent 17 seconds building. Worry is the ultimate demonstration of a lack of emotional magnetism. It states to the universe, I doubt the power of my own creation. This destructive signal, layered over the high-frequency signal of creation, creates static. The universe, which can only reflect your strongest broadcast, will respond to the doubt, leading to delayed or corrupted manifestation. You must trust that the moment you crossed the 17-second coherence threshold with a clear thought and an elevated feeling, the blueprint for the manifestation was immediately set in motion. True surrender is only possible because of the preceding 5 keynotes. You cannot authentically surrender if you haven't first done the work of dissolving the old story. The old story is built on anxiety, fear, and the deeply ingrained chemical addiction to lack. It is the old self that feels the compulsive need to control the outcome. It worries because it feels unworthy of the miracle. By consciously choosing to interrupt that old emotional cascade by telling your body, I am not that fear anymore, you free up the mental and emotional energy required to simply trust. If you still carry the emotional residue of the past, your surrender will be false. It will be temporary. The old chemical program will resurface, compelling you to anxiously check your phone, your email, or your bank account, effectively undoing the energetic work you just completed. Surrender, therefore, is the final proof that you have successfully dissolved the old story. Furthermore, the final surrender is the reward for practice until it's automatic. The reason most people cannot surrender is because they lack certainty. They might try to create for 1 or 2 days, but the lack of consistent repetition means the new self is weak and the old self remains dominant. Doubt is the inevitable result of inconsistency. However, if you have committed to the 21 days of unwavering practice, if you have shown up every single day to fire and wire the new circuits of abundance, you have built certainty within your own biology. You have proven to yourself at a neurological level that your consciousness has the power to override your environment. This internal biological proof allows you to surrender the outcome effortlessly because you know the signal has been sent and received. The consistency of the practice creates the confidence that allows for the final necessary act of release. When we talk about trusting the field and the quantum you, we are acknowledging that the intelligence responsible for creating galaxies and giving life to your body is infinitely more capable of organizing the logistics of delivering $23,847 than your limited analytical mind. Your job was the internal work, setting the intention and sending the magnetic signal. The field's job is the external work, arranging the opportunity, the person, the chance encounter, or the unexpected phone call. By surrendering, you are getting out of the way and allowing that infinite intelligence to act. Any attempt to calculate the how, I need to call this person, I must apply for that job to get the money, constricts the potential of the quantum you. It reduces the infinite possibilities of the wave into the limited expectations of the particle. You must surrender the expectation of how it will look, because the universe almost always delivers your manifestation in a way that is unexpected, surprising, and far more elegant than anything your analytical mind could have conceived. The surrender confirms the shifting your state of being. If you are truly in the state of abundance, you are no longer defined by the need for the external reward. You are already whole, complete, and grateful for the potential that exists. When you surrender the outcome, you are declaring, I am already abundant. The money is simply the physical evidence of the state I have achieved. This is a profound reversal of the old paradigm. You are not surrendering because you are tired of trying. You are surrendering because you know the work is done and the reality is already created in the non-physical realm. Your final act is not an effort, but a release. It is the final bold choice to live by cause the internal creation rather than waiting for the external effect. The moment of surrender is the moment you give the quantum field the freedom to deliver. The ability to completely let go of the need to control the timing and the delivery mechanism is the single greatest test of your commitment to the new personality. If you pass this test, if you remain in the elevated state of gratitude without resorting to the analytical, survival-based patterns of the old self, the field, will have no choice but to reflect the frequency of your certainty. Step into the field today. Become that future self. Sustain the emotion. Hold the thought. Give it 17 seconds of absolute unwavering fidelity. Watch what happens in the next 21 days. The evidence is waiting.